Cheating. I'm Maddie Pouliot. Find out why so many college students say it's impossible to resist the urge of cheating through college. Moving forward, I'm Maddie Pouliot. Find out what's in store for the future of Starkville Pride.
Change is in the air this tax season. I'm Maddie Pouliot. See what changes you need to be aware of when filing your taxes this year.
Flu season may be at its annual peak, but experts say it isn't too late to get your flu shot. I'm Madison Pouliot, and I have that story next.
You might have had to have worn one of these this year, and if you have, you aren't alone. I spoke to Dr. John Edwin over the phone, who runs a clinic much like this one out of South Haven, Mississippi, and he said that flu season may have slowed down a little bit, but 2 weeks ago, every single seat in his waiting room was full, and almost every single one of them had the flu.
Online essay mills like these are a new way that college students are cheating their way through school. It's super easy. All they have to do is Google, "I need someone to write my paper for me," and just like that, they have hundreds of options to websites like these that do just that.
According to the IRS, at least 150 individual tax returns will be filed this year. Other changes along with the deductions include new tax brackets and a new tax form that everyone will be seeing. Last October, the county lost its paratransit provider, causing a complete void in handicapped transportation. SMART worked closely with the county to develop a new expanded program to make sure that everybody had transportation services.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is having a huge effect on our taxes this year, including a brand new tax form. So I went out to see exactly what changes you needed to know. To get help with everything you need to know for filing before the April 15th deadline, visit our Facebook page for a link to all those changes and filing tips. Thanks, Reed. Tonight, Campus Connect meteorologists say we can expect temperatures in the low 80s throughout the region, around 85 in Hattiesburg, but staying around 81 in Starkville. But for Super Bulldog weekend, there's a good chance of rain. I'll have more of that and your full forecast in a bit. Reed? Welcome back. As you can see, yesterday had a high of 83 and a low of 59, and more of the same is expected today. Tomorrow it is expected to get a little chillier with a high of only 76 and some possibility of rain.
I've cheated, not often, but I've cheated a couple times.
And this MSU student, whose name he asked we change for the story, isn't alone. According to U.S. News World Report, in 2015, 75% of college students admitted to have cheated at least once during their time in college. And with the rise of social media and internet use, cheating is even easier and more accessible than ever. All you have to do is a quick Google search, and you can hire an anonymous person to write your paper for you.
Well, I think some of them cheat for different reasons. Some of them might cheat because they failed their class before and can't pass it a second time, and they don't have the money or the resources to try to take it another time to pay for it. I feel like everybody also cheats because of pressure from school and family and parents.
Online essay mills like these are a new way that college students are cheating their way through school. It's super easy. All they have to do is Google, "I need someone to write my paper for me," and just like that, they have hundreds of options to websites like these that do just that, but for a price. This website charges almost $18 a page. So with new technology like this coming around, universities all across the country are having to come up with new software to stop plagiarism and cheating like this. But you wouldn't want to get caught using one of these services or cheating because they can have costly effects on your education.
There are serious consequences. It can affect you in the future, but ultimately, hey, you messed up. Let's learn from it, move forward so that when you do get in the real world, you're not in serious trouble for an ethical violation. So.
While many argue that cheating may be unethical but not illegal, it is becoming illegal in many states to use these online essay mills. More than a dozen states have recently passed laws that outlaw essay mills, but it's hard to prosecute the essay mills themselves because most are sourced from other countries like Pakistan or Ukraine. So for the time being, universities are doing all they can do to catch cheating by implementing and developing new software and, more importantly, trying to implement good integrity and ethics into college students.
Pride rang true in Starkville this past weekend with the holding of the second annual Pride Parade. Last year, Starkville made national headlines when they were originally denied a parade permit. This year, the legacy of those who fought for the event lives on. The event started with an art market in the morning and led into a parade that afternoon. Over 2,000 people were in attendance this year, a little over half of the 4,500 people who attended last year's parade.
So it is basically a space that LGBT people can get together and recognize that they have a community of people that they didn't really recognize, and especially in a place like Starkville, that's one, it's a small city, and two, it's in Mississippi, not really recognizing that there are people like you around you. So in places like this specifically, Pride is allowing people to see that they are not alone and that they do have people that they can talk to about an issue that not a lot of people actually do understand.
While the crowd may not have been as big as last year's crowd, the parade still brought in people from all ages and walks of life, filling this park and the streets right behind me with lots of rainbow attire, equality, and a ton of love to go around.
We are establishing 501c3 status for Pride because we are looking to make it a nonprofit that focuses on students and what they can provide to Starkville as the greater community, as well as to MSU. Moving forward and working with that, but we should be able to remain an annual event.
The committee says annual Pride events like this are extremely important for our community and that they provide a sense of belonging to those who don't feel like they belong anywhere else. Starkville Pride, they say, will persist.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is having a huge effect on our taxes this year, including a brand new tax form. So I went out to see exactly what changes you needed to know.
President Trump signed a tax bill in December 2017 with the most significant tax changes in the United States in more than 30 years. This meant lots of changes for personal and corporate taxes, with effects that are expected to really just start to show in this year's refunds. A lot of popular deductions were eliminated last year as a part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, including work-related expenses, divorce, moving fees, theft losses, personal write-offs, and many more.
One of the big things is the IRS did get rid of the deduction for a lot of unreimbursed business expenses. The other side of that is the IRS did significantly increase the standard deduction. So some of the things you could deduct have gone away, but kind of the standard deduction the IRS gives you without actually having expenses, they almost doubled it. So they're anticipating that 2/3 or 3/4 of taxpayers will owe less tax under the new law.
According to the IRS, at least 150 individual tax returns will be filed this year. Other changes along with the deductions include new tax brackets and a new tax form that everyone will be seeing.
There was a 1040EZ, a 1040A, and then a Form 1040. And what they've really done is they've gone to just one form called a 1040. That form is shorter than the original 1040, the 1040 we had, say, in 2017. And the new 1040 is basically half a page front, half a page back. So they've taken what used to be three different forms, condensed it down to one form.
And as for getting your money back faster, the IRS strongly encourages you to submit your tax return electronically. They say this eliminates error and leads to faster refunds.
To get help with everything you need to know for filing before the April 15th deadline, visit our Facebook page for a link to all those changes and filing tips.
Flu season is in full swing, and local experts say it's nothing like last year's crisis. Local doctors say they haven't been nearly as busy as they were last winter. The 2017-2018 flu season was one of the worst in American history, with over 80,000 deaths. Local nurses say the Center for Disease Control have a better grasp on what strands are circulating this year. They say this makes them feel confident that the vaccine is way more effective than last flu season.
Yes, I went and got my flu shot this year. I also got it last year, but last year I got the flu. This year I haven't yet, so I think this year is probably more effective than it was last year.
You might have had to have worn one of these this year, and if you have, you aren't alone. I spoke to Dr. John Edwin over the phone, who runs a clinic much like this one out of South Haven, Mississippi. And he said that flu season may have slowed down a little bit, but 2 weeks ago, every single seat in his waiting room was full, and almost every single one of them had the flu.
Yes, I think people should go get their vaccinations, even though they don't 100% work. It's always a safe bet to go and get it.
The University Health Center encourages you to remember these tips for preventing the flu. Wash your hands often with soap and water. Avoid close contact. Toss your tissues in the trash. Cough or sneeze into a tissue. And maybe, most important of all, hibernate if you're sick.